Welcome back to Decoded Love Psychology. Today, we're talking about a topic that gets surprisingly little attention: attraction after 60. A lot of men assume that getting older automatically means becoming less attractive. But that's not how attraction actually works. Women don't all look for the same things, and attraction isn't determined by age alone. In fact, many women notice qualities in an older man that have very little to do with looking young. Sometimes it's the way he carries himself. Sometimes it's his face. Sometimes it's his hands. Sometimes it's his posture. And sometimes the most attractive feature isn't a physical feature at all. It's what that feature communicates. Because when it comes to attraction, the brain isn't simply asking, is this person physically attractive? It's also asking, does he look confident? Does he take care of himself? Does he seem healthy? Does he have presence? Would I feel comfortable around him? That's why today we're exploring 5 things women may notice in men over 60, and more importantly, what those features can communicate psychologically. And the first one may surprise you. Let's begin with the face. A man's face is one of the first things another person notices. But here's where many older men make a mistake. They assume that women are looking for a perfectly smooth, youthful face. That's not necessarily true. Age changes the face. Wrinkles appear. Hair may become gray. Skin texture changes. Facial structure can look different. But those changes don't automatically eliminate attractiveness. In many cases, a mature face can communicate experience, confidence, and character. Think about it. Your face tells a story. Years of smiling create certain expressions. Years of experience can change the way someone looks at the world. And a confident expression can make a much stronger impression than trying desperately to look younger. This is why facial expression matters so much. A man with a relaxed face, genuine smile, and comfortable eye contact can appear significantly more attractive than someone who is technically younger but constantly looks nervous, angry, or insecure. The key isn't pretending to be someone you're not, it's looking comfortable with who you are. Women may notice whether a man seems approachable. They may notice whether he smiles naturally. They may notice his eyes. They may notice whether he looks engaged when speaking. And these details can communicate something powerful. I am comfortable in my own skin. That's attractive at any age. Now, let's move to number 2. The second thing women may notice is a man's shoulders and overall upper body presence. This isn't about having enormous muscles. At 60, 65, or 70, you don't need to look like a bodybuilder. What matters more is proportion, posture, and physical presence. A man who stands upright with relaxed shoulders can immediately appear more confident. Compare that with someone who constantly slouches, looks down, and seems physically withdrawn. The difference can be dramatic. Posture changes how other people perceive you, and it also changes how you feel about yourself. When your shoulders are naturally positioned, your head is up, and your body looks balanced, you can project confidence without saying a word. That's especially important because confidence becomes increasingly attractive as people mature. When you're younger, you may rely heavily on physical appearance. As you get older, presence becomes more important. A man doesn't necessarily need to have the body he had at 25. He needs to look like he respects the body he has today. That's a very different goal. Maybe you've gained some weight. Maybe your muscles aren't as large. Maybe your hair is gray. That's okay. Taking care of yourself still matters. Regular movement, reasonable nutrition, good grooming, enough sleep, appropriate exercise. These habits don't guarantee attractiveness, but they can influence how you carry yourself. And that leads to an important point. Women may notice the body, but they can also notice what the body suggests. Does he take care of himself? Does he seem energetic? Does he move comfortably? Does he appear confident? Those signals can matter more than having a perfect physique. Now let's move to number 3. The third feature women may notice is the hands. This might sound unusual, but hands can be surprisingly noticeable. Why? Because hands communicate a lot. They're constantly visible. They show movement. They reveal gestures. They can suggest grooming habits. And during conversation, people naturally watch how others use their hands. A man's hands can also become associated with his personality. Someone who uses calm, deliberate gestures may appear confident. Someone who constantly fidgets may appear nervous. Someone who takes care of his nails and skin may appear well-groomed. Again, this isn't about perfection, it's about maintenance. Clean nails, healthy-looking skin, basic grooming. These small details can influence first impressions. And there's another psychological element here. Hands can communicate competence. Think about the way someone holds a coffee cup, opens a door, works with tools, writes something, gestures during a conversation, or simply rests his hands calmly. These tiny behaviors can contribute to the overall impression of confidence. And here's something interesting. Many men focus heavily on their face, hair, or clothing while completely ignoring small details like their hands. But attraction often works through details. You don't necessarily need one dramatic feature. Sometimes several small signals combine into a strong overall impression. Now, let's move to number 4. The fourth thing women may notice is a man's legs and the way he walks. Again, this isn't about having perfectly muscular legs. It's about movement. The way you walk can reveal confidence, energy, balance, and physical condition. A man who walks with purpose can appear more confident. A man who moves comfortably can appear more physically capable. And a man who maintains good mobility can project vitality. This becomes particularly important after 60, because as people age, physical mobility becomes an increasingly visible part of overall presence. You don't have to run marathons. You don't have to lift enormous weights. But staying active can influence how you look and feel. Walking regularly, strength training within your abilities, mobility exercises, balance work, maintaining flexibility. These aren't just fitness goals. They can affect your posture, movement, confidence, and everyday energy. And those things can influence attraction. Imagine two men who are both 65. One is constantly complaining about getting old. He barely moves. He has poor posture. He dresses carelessly. He avoids social activities. The other takes reasonable care of himself. He walks every day. He maintains his grooming. He dresses well. He stays socially active. He laughs. He has interests. He carries himself confidently. Age is the same, but the overall impression can be completely different. That's because attraction isn't simply a number. It's the total package. Now let's move to number 5. The fifth thing women may notice is perhaps the most important one. A man's eyes and the way he uses eye contact. Eyes are incredibly expressive. They can communicate confidence, interest, warmth, curiosity, confidence, nervousness, and even emotional maturity. When a man listens attentively and maintains natural eye contact, he can appear much more engaged. But there's an important distinction. Good eye contact isn't staring. It's not trying to dominate someone. It's simply being present. When someone is speaking to you, actually listen. Look at them naturally. Respond to what they're saying. Don't constantly check your phone. Don't scan the room looking for someone more interesting. Presence is attractive, and this becomes even more important as people mature. Why? Because emotional maturity becomes increasingly valuable. A woman may be less interested in a man who is desperately trying to prove he's still young and more interested in a man who seems comfortable being exactly who he is. That's a powerful distinction. You don't have to compete with younger men. You don't have to pretend you're 30. You don't have to dress like a teenager. You don't have to act like someone you're not. Your advantage can be maturity, experience, confidence, stability, humor, wisdom, and self-awareness. Now let's take a step back. We've discussed 5 things women may notice. The face, the shoulders and upper body presence, the hands, the legs and movement, and the eyes. But here's the bigger lesson. None of these features exist in isolation. A person's attractiveness is usually a combination of physical appearance, behavior, personality, confidence, grooming, and emotional presence. That's why one physical feature rarely determines attraction. A man might have gray hair and still look incredibly attractive. A man might have wrinkles and still have an unforgettable presence. A man might not have a perfect physique but still be magnetic. Why? Because attraction isn't a checklist, it's an experience, and that experience is influenced by how someone makes you feel. This is especially important for men over 60. You don't need to fight your age, you need to age well. There's a difference. Fighting your age means constantly worrying about looking younger. Aging well means taking care of yourself and embracing your current stage of life. That's confidence, and confidence can change everything. Let's talk about grooming. Good grooming is one of the simplest ways to improve your overall appearance. You don't need expensive products, you don't need designer clothing, you don't need cosmetic procedures. Basic maintenance can make a huge difference. Clean hair, a well-maintained beard or clean shave, fresh breath, clean nails, well-fitting clothes, clean shoes, healthy skin, a subtle, pleasant scent. These details communicate self-respect, and self-respect can be attractive. The goal isn't to become obsessed with appearance, it's to avoid looking like you've given up on yourself.